Clinton's campaign could get a shot in the arm from her latest endorsement. Former Iowa Senator Tom Harkin is now backing Clinton. His endorsement coming at a time when the Democratic frontrunner is struggling under the weight of a federal email investigation. A new poll out this week shows her with 50% support to Senator Bernie Sanders' 31% in Iowa. Meanwhile, there's more talk about other high-profile Democrats entering the presidential race. Let's talk about these possibilities with Michael Warren, staff writer for the Weekly Standard. Shira Center is political editor for the Boston Globe, and they both join me now. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
So Hillary Clinton's email controversy seems to be dogging her. Shira, is that the primary reason that her poll numbers have been dropping? I mean, she is behind in one poll in New Hampshire.
Right. So it is definitely a huge part of the reason that her poll numbers are sagging right now. If you look at the poll numbers in more detail, especially, you see this one question: do you think Hillary Clinton is trustworthy? And in many cases, a majority of Democrats don't see her as trustworthy. So I think that is a huge part, and it really does tie into this email scandal. But it's also more than that. It's also some of the speaking fees she had when after she was Secretary of State, some of the issues with the Clinton Family Foundation. So I'd say emails first. These other issues just feed into that even more.
Echoes of 2008, Michael, because she, at the beginning of this campaign season, let's go way back to January maybe, she was the inevitable front runner. Now people like Joe Biden apparently are thinking about jumping into the race.
Yeah, you've got Joe Biden sort of throwing out these kind of trial balloons in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and I think it's more and more likely that he jumps in. The polls are a real problem for Hillary Clinton right now, but, Iowa, New Hampshire, those early primary contests are still several months away. I think the thing that the Clinton campaign has to be worrying about is sort of where Democratic influencers, donors, sort of party bigwig types are. They've got to be looking at all of this stuff with the emails, the criminal investigation that the FBI is conducting right now, and thinking, is this really what we want to saddle our party with in November 2016? I think that's why you're seeing a lot of these feelers going out, not just for Joe Biden, but maybe for some other Democratic candidates to sort of come in and fill the void if Hillary Clinton really loses their confidence.
All right, so sticking with you for the moment, Michael, if a long-serving and popular senator like Tom Harkin comes out and endorses Hillary Clinton in a very important early state, does that help stanch some of the bleeding?
I think it helps some, but, we're going to have to see what happens if Joe Biden does get in. Joe Biden has a lot of support from sort of the Obama wing or the Obama network within the Democratic Party. And you've been hearing, you got to listen to what some of these sort of recent Obama alums have been saying or haven't been saying out there with regard to what's happening with Hillary Clinton's email scandal. They're being kind of quiet. I think that's indicative of where some of the party are. Tom Harkin, obviously very important in Iowa, but he's a former senator, not as important as he used to be. I think this is still up in the air at the moment.
Shira, there was a piece written in the Wall Street Journal online yesterday by Jim Manley, a longtime political operative, knows a lot of folks on the Democratic side in Washington and beyond. He wrote this: the vice president recently lost his son, Beau, and there is no way that running for president can be a cathartic experience. Then there are these facts. He has no political staff that could jump into a campaign, no infrastructure in place in the key primary states, no super PAC to provide cover, and no funds on hand to jumpstart a campaign. The 2016 cycle is already well underway. For better or worse, I don't see Mr. Biden wading in. I'm sorry. So you can weigh in on that, Shira. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't even fathom some of the personal grief that the vice president must be going through. And Jim Manley's right. Running for president is not a cathartic experience, and it's an extremely stressful experience. So even that aside, just some of the logistical issues of getting into the race for president this late, when Hillary Clinton has essentially been building a campaign for years and years now, are so difficult. Let's just start with fundraising to begin with. Joe Biden has not raised money for his own campaign in a post-Citizens United world. This is a completely different game now. You'd have to start from scratch and speaking about establishment support and super PAC support, it is going to be very hard to collect. While many of these big Democratic donors and insiders might be quiet right now while Hillary Clinton deals with these weekly email mini scandals and the larger scandal as a whole, that doesn't mean they're going to run to Joe Biden's side as soon as he gets into this race. So it's a very large problem. And secondly, there's also the issue of getting on the primary ballot in a lot of these states. That's a huge logistical hurdle.
Then there was a tantalizing piece in the New York Times this morning, Michael, that said that Joe Biden has called Dick Harpootlian, who's a frequent guest on Fox, former chair of the South Carolina Democratic Committee, and he's feeling him out about the possibility of running. So what are we to believe?
Well, as a caveat, Dick Harpootlian is a little bit of a gadfly within the Democratic Party, although, he does speak for sort of a part of or a segment of Democrats. Look, I think Shira's right about all of the logistical hurdles that Joe Biden or anybody else would have to do to really challenge Hillary Clinton. But I think the Bernie Sanders sort of model has got to be appealing to some of those candidates. They've got to be looking at the crowds that he's getting and the sort of energy that he has and think, well, if I can marry sort of in Joe Biden's case, my sort of name recognition, connections that he may have within the Obama political world that may not be that friendly with Hillary Clinton's side of the party, and think maybe I can cobble something together here. Again, it's a long shot, but there was a lot of talk that, as you said at the beginning, that Hillary was inevitable at the beginning of the year. That's not really the case anymore, or at least it doesn't look that way. I wouldn't put it past Biden to really consider it.
And one has to believe that if her numbers were still in the stratosphere like they were a few months ago, this wouldn't be an issue. I don't think Joe Biden would be considering jumping in.
That's right.
Michael Warren, Shira Center. Thank you.